there's a harsh truth. A stroke never knocks before it enters. It comes suddenly, devastatingly, and can take away your ability to walk, to speak, and even your life in just a few short minutes. But as a doctor, what troubles me most is not the moment I see a patient collapse. It's when I hear them or their loved ones whisper, "If only I had paid attention to the signs earlier." You see, our body never stays silent when it's in danger. It always tries to send warning signals. A hand that suddenly feels weak, words that come out slurred, vision that blurs for a moment, or a sudden dizzy spell. All of these can appear just a week before a major stroke strikes. Yet because they come and go so quickly, many people dismiss them as fatigue, aging, or just a rough night's sleep. And that very dismissal has caused millions to miss their golden chance to prevent disaster. What very few people realize is that 80% of strokes can actually be prevented if we recognize the early signs and act in time. The real issue is not whether the body sends signals, but whether we choose to listen. Think about it. Have you ever woken up and felt one side of your body unusually weak, only to reassure yourself, maybe it's because I slept on it wrong? Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation, only to suddenly struggle to get your words out, or hear someone speaking but not fully understand them? Or maybe you were reading a book, and out of nowhere, the words blurred together, or one image split into two. Those moments, even if they last just minutes, could be your brain crying out for help. The most dangerous mistake is ignoring these signals, telling yourself, "I'll be fine after a little rest." Because a stroke rarely announces itself with just one warning. It whispers before it screams. And when that scream comes, the result could be paralysis, memory loss, or worse, losing your life forever. But here's the good news. You are not powerless. By recognizing the early signs, you can act quickly and prevent tragedy. In this video, I'll show you the 8 most important warnings your brain often gives about a week before a stroke. This is knowledge that, if you hold on to it, could save your life or the life of someone you love.
And even more importantly, at the end of the video, I'll share 6 simple but highly effective prevention strategies proven to reduce your risk of stroke by up to 80%. Small changes in lifestyle, diet, and sleep can make a profound difference, helping you stay sharp, independent, and enjoy many more healthy years. There are many things in life you can ignore, but please don't ignore this video, because what you're about to learn is not just medical knowledge. It could be the key to protecting your memory, your clarity, and the precious years of happiness with your family. So let's begin with the most classic warning sign your brain often sends before a major stroke, a change that seems obvious yet is easily overlooked: sudden weakness on one side of the body. This can affect the face, the arm, or the leg. You might notice it when you look in the mirror and see one corner of your mouth droop, making your smile uneven. Or when you try to raise both arms, one stays steady, but the other quickly drops as if it's lost its strength. Sometimes while walking, one leg suddenly feels heavy, hard to lift, forcing you to drag it along. This always happens on one side of the body because of the brain's cross-control system. The right hemisphere controls the left side of the body, while the left hemisphere controls the right. When blood flow to one side of the brain is blocked, the signals from this command center can't travel through, leading to immediate weakness or even paralysis on the opposite side. The troubling part is that many people brush this off, thinking, "My arm's just numb from sleeping wrong," or "My leg feels weak because I'm tired." In reality, sudden weakness on one side of the body almost always points to a problem in the brain. And this is one of the most urgent warning signs of stroke. If you or a loved one shows this symptom, don't wait for it to disappear. Even if it lasts only a few minutes, treat it as an emergency. The simplest way to check at home is the FAST test. FAST asks the person to smile. Does one side droop? Arms. Ask them to raise both arms. Does one arm drift down? Speech. Has them repeat a simple sentence. Are the words slurred or strange? Time. If you see any of these signs, call 911 right away.
Remember, in a stroke, every minute that passes means millions of brain cells are dying. Spotting the signs and acting fast is the key to survival and recovery. Another warning sign that is often overlooked is sudden numbness or tingling on one side of the body, as if thousands of tiny ants were crawling under your skin. It can happen in the arm, the leg, or even on one side of the face. What makes this especially concerning is that the symptom often lasts only a few minutes or a few hours and then disappears, leading many people to believe nothing serious is going on. In reality, this may actually be a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, sometimes called a mini-stroke. When blood flow to the brain is temporarily blocked, nerve cells don't get enough oxygen, and they react with numbness or loss of sensation. Once the clot breaks up or blood starts flowing again, the symptom vanishes. But that disappearance does not mean you are safe. On the contrary, it's like the brain's final alarm bell, warning that a major stroke may be just around the corner. The most dangerous mistake people make is simply resting and waiting to see if things get better. In this situation, rest does nothing. The only correct response is immediate action. If you or a loved one suddenly feels numbness on one side of the body, even if it fades quickly, treat it as an emergency and call 911 right away. You can do a quick check by touching both cheeks, squeezing both hands, or taking a few steps. If one side feels weaker, less responsive, or unusually numb, treat it as a red alert. Sign 3. A symptom often mistaken for fatigue or aging is the feeling of dizziness and unsteadiness when walking. You might be standing up from a chair and suddenly feel like the whole room is spinning. When you take steps, your legs no longer feel steady and you have to hold onto the wall or furniture to keep your balance. To others, it may look as if you had been drinking alcohol, but in fact, this could be an emergency signal from the brain. The cause lies in a special part of the brain called the cerebellum, which is responsible for controlling coordination and balance. When the blood vessels supplying the cerebellum are blocked, your ability to maintain balance and coordinate movements is immediately impaired. Unlike dizziness from low blood pressure or a change in posture, dizziness caused by stroke usually comes on suddenly, severely, and lasts longer. Unfortunately, many people take it lightly, assuming it is just normal dizziness or from lack of sleep. But the truth is, if this condition is accompanied by difficulty speaking, blurred vision, or weakness in the arms or legs, the likelihood is high that it is a warning sign of an impending stroke. Do not let carelessness turn a single staggering step into a cruel turning point in life. Sign 4. The least noticed yet extremely important sign is a sudden change in vision. You might be reading a book and suddenly the words become blurry for a few minutes. Or when looking at the wall clock, you may see two hands at the same time, that is, double vision. More seriously, at times it may feel like a black curtain has fallen over one eye, causing part of your vision to suddenly go dark. What is really happening? Our eyes function like cameras, but the image processing center is located deep in the brain, in the occipital lobe at the back of the head. If the blood vessels carrying signals and energy to this area are interrupted, the images you see will become distorted, blurred, or disappear altogether. Therefore, sudden changes in vision are often an alarm bell that the brain is experiencing ischemia. Many people mistake this condition for eye strain, needing new glasses, or simply getting older. But the big difference is this. Vision-related stroke symptoms usually appear suddenly, without warning, and unlike anything you have experienced before. Be especially cautious if blurred vision is accompanied by numbness in the hand, weakness in the leg, or difficulty speaking. At that point, it is no longer an eye problem, it is a brain problem. Next, One of the most subtle yet extremely dangerous signs of stroke is a sudden change in the ability to communicate. You may be having a normal conversation, but suddenly you cannot find the words you need. Your speech becomes hesitant, slurred, or worse, the words come out jumbled, meaningless, and you don't even realize it yourself. On the other hand, sometimes you may still speak fluently, but you cannot understand what others are saying, as if their words have turned into incomprehensible sounds. This happens because there are two special language stations in the brain. Broca's area, responsible for producing speech, helping you organize and articulate words. When this area lacks blood supply, you know exactly what you want to say but cannot express it clearly. Wernicke's area, responsible for understanding language. If this area is affected, you may speak rapidly, but your speech becomes nonsensical, and at the same time, you cannot understand what others are saying. The danger is that many families often confuse this phenomenon with fatigue, aging, or think it's just a slip of the tongue. That kind of neglect has caused millions of patients to miss the chance for early treatment. Try a simple test. Ask the person to repeat a short sentence. For example, "Today is a beautiful day." If they say it incorrectly, stutter, or cannot repeat it at all, treat it as an emergency. Stroke can take away the ability to communicate, a vital part of human connection. But if detected early, you can preserve that priceless gift. Sign 6. A sudden and severe headache. Not every headache is something to fear. We have all experienced headaches from lack of sleep, stress, or changes in the weather. But if one day you suddenly experience a headache that is far more intense than any you've ever had before, you must be extremely cautious. Patients who have gone through this often describe it as the worst headache of my life, or a sensation like a hammer striking the skull, appearing as suddenly as a bolt of lightning. The pain may come with nausea, vomiting, blurred vision, or even loss of consciousness. This is a red alert warning of a hemorrhagic stroke when a blood vessel in the brain bursts, blood leaks out, and enormous pressure builds inside the skull. Unlike common headaches, stroke-related headaches usually appear suddenly, are extremely severe, and have no obvious cause. Sometimes they may feel dull, but occur in a spot where you've never had pain before. This difference is something you must pay special attention to. The biggest mistake many people make is to endure it, take painkillers, or just rest it off. But in this case, every passing minute could mean the difference between life and death.
Sign 7. Unexplained fatigue, unusual exhaustion. There are days when you suddenly feel like your body has run out of all energy, even though you've had enough sleep, haven't exercised much, and haven't done any heavy work. Simple tasks like walking a few steps, preparing a light meal, or tidying up the house make you feel as if you've just climbed a hill. This is not ordinary tiredness. It can be an early warning sign of a stroke. The reason is that when blood vessels in the brain begin to narrow or become partially blocked, the fuel supply to nerve cells is reduced. To conserve energy, the body automatically switches into a low battery mode. The result is exhaustion, even when you've done almost nothing. This is very different from fatigue due to lack of sleep or physical labor. It comes suddenly, without reason, and lingers. Many people dismiss this symptom, thinking it's just part of aging. But the truth is, the body never sends out signals of exhaustion without cause. Especially if this fatigue comes with other symptoms like numbness, dizziness, or slurred speech. It is a red flag that the brain is in danger. Pay attention to the difference. If you feel out of battery, even when doing nothing, don't just rest and hope it will pass. Instead, treat it as a chance to check and protect your brain health.
because if you ignore it, you may lose your one opportunity to stop a stroke before it strikes. Sign 8. Clumsiness, sudden loss of coordination. You may notice it when suddenly buttoning a shirt becomes difficult, your hands feel awkward on the keyboard, or threading a needle turns into an impossible task. Even everyday activities like washing dishes or pouring a glass of water may end with spills. These fine movements require close coordination between the brain and the muscles. When blood vessels in the brain begin to clog and the oxygen supply to nerve cells decreases, the small skills that once seemed simple are often the first to be affected. That's because the brain always prioritizes energy for vital functions, while delicate movements get sacrificed first. What makes this symptom dangerous is how easily it can be overlooked. Many people assume they are just a bit clumsy because of age, tired hands, or lack of focus. But if clumsiness appears suddenly, clearly, and is accompanied by fatigue, weakness on one side of the body, or slurred speech, it is no longer a small matter. It is a signal from the brain before a real stroke occurs. The 8 warning signs we've just covered are like the brain's whispers before a major storm. But the good news is, you can do more than recognize them. You can actively prevent stroke. Here are 6 of the most effective science-backed strategies.
Strategy 1. Control your blood pressure. If you had to pick the single biggest risk factor for stroke, it would be high blood pressure. Often called the silent killer, it rarely causes obvious symptoms. Yet day after day, it quietly damages and weakens the blood vessels in your brain. Keeping your blood pressure in a safe range dramatically lowers your stroke risk. Start with simple, practical steps. Get a home blood pressure monitor. Measure regularly, especially in the morning before taking medication and at night after resting. Record your results and bring them to your doctor at every visit. Think of each reading as an act of brain protection. By keeping that number in check, you cut your stroke risk by half. Strategy 2. Manage cholesterol and blood sugar. If high blood pressure is like a rushing river scratching the inner walls of your arteries, then bad cholesterol and high blood sugar are the debris and mud that stick to those scratches, forming plaque. Over time, these plaques narrow the arteries, turning smooth highways into pothole-ridden roads prone to blockage. This is the main cause of ischemic strokes. Prevention starts with regular checkups. Ask your doctor for a lipid panel to check cholesterol and a blood sugar test. Pay special attention to LDL, bad cholesterol, and HbA1c, your 3-month average blood sugar. Next, adjust your diet. Cut back on processed foods, fried items, and sweets. Increase vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and omega-3 rich fish. Think of these foods as soft brushes that help clean your bloodstream and keep it flowing smoothly. Most importantly, don't wait for symptoms. Cholesterol and blood sugar often rise silently for years. Regular testing plus diet changes can dramatically reduce your risk of dangerous clots.
Strategy 3. Detects and treat atrial fibrillation, or AFib. Another major stroke risk factor that often gets overlooked is atrial fibrillation, or AFib, an irregular, chaotic heartbeat. Normally, your heart pumps steadily like a strong engine, but with AFib, the upper chambers of the heart quiver instead of pumping properly. Blood pools, swirls, and eventually clots. Those clots can travel to the brain and block blood flow in an instant, causing an ischemic stroke. The danger is that AFib can go unnoticed for years. If you often feel your heart racing, fluttering, skipping beats, or if you experience dizziness, shortness of breath, or fatigue, get checked right away. A simple EKG at the doctor's office can detect AFib. Treatment may include medications to control rhythm, blood thinners to prevent clots, and lifestyle changes.
Listen to your heart. If it feels out of rhythm, don't dismiss it. It may be your body's most urgent warning. Strategy 4. Cut down on salt. One seemingly harmless habit that drives stroke risk higher is eating too much salt. Salt makes the body retain water, increasing blood volume and forcing the heart to pump harder. This raises blood pressure, straining fragile blood vessels until they weaken or rupture. The problem is that salt doesn't just come from the shaker. It hides in processed foods, canned goods, and restaurant meals. Even a small serving can push you far beyond the daily recommended amount. The solution isn't eliminating salt entirely, but reducing and replacing it wisely. Use less when cooking, and season with natural herbs and spices, garlic, onion, pepper, ginger, fresh herbs for flavor. Always check food labels for hidden sodium. The ideal daily limit is less than 1 teaspoon, about 5 grams. It may sound small, but sticking to it can stabilize blood pressure, ease the heart's workload, and strengthen your blood vessels.
Strategy 5. Stay physically active in ways that fit your age. The human body is built to move. When we sit too long, circulation slows, blood pressure rises, bad cholesterol builds up, and clots form more easily. That's why regular activity is one of the most powerful weapons against stroke. The good news? You don't need intense workouts or a daily gym membership. Simple, consistent activities make a huge difference. Brisk walking for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, gentle stretching or yoga, or hobbies like dancing, gardening, or biking. The key is consistency. Exercise makes your heart pump stronger, your blood vessels more flexible, and your brain better oxygenated. That can reduce stroke risk by 30 to 40%. If you haven't exercised before, start small, 5 to 10 minutes of walking, and gradually increase. Don't compete with your younger self, just stay steady and listen to your body. Strategy 6. Quit smoking and prioritize quality sleep. Among all dangerous habits, smoking is one of the #1 enemies of the brain and heart. Every puff delivers thousands of toxins into your body, including chemicals that directly damage the delicate lining of your blood vessels. Arteries that were once strong and flexible become brittle and prone to rupture. At the same time, oxygen in your blood decreases, forcing the heart and brain to function in a constant state of oxygen shortage. The result is that the risk of stroke becomes several times higher than in non-smokers. The good news is within just a few weeks of quitting, your blood vessels begin to heal and your stroke risk gradually declines over time. Along with quitting smoking, sleep plays an equally important role. During sleep, your body enters a repair and restoration phase. Blood pressure drops, the heart gets to rest, and nerve cells are replenished. But if you frequently lack sleep or suffer from sleep apnea, loud snoring, interrupted breathing, your brain remains under continuous stress, blood pressure rises, and the risk of stroke increases. The solution here is clear. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. If you notice signs like loud snoring or daytime fatigue, talk to your doctor about being tested for sleep apnea. A restful night's sleep not only restores alertness, but also serves as a golden shield that protects both your heart and your brain. Finally, what matters most is not how much knowledge you've just heard, but how you choose to act starting today. Because understanding without action means every warning remains nothing more than a whisper ignored. Remember the 6 prevention strategies we just covered. They are the armor that can help you protect your clarity and independence. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends and loved ones, especially those over 60. Early awareness can save a life. And don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so each week you'll receive more practical, science-based insights to safeguard your brain and your heart.